We've noticed that Meghan Markle has quite the habit of using, abusing, and then ditching friends. And now her former BFF, the first maid of honor from her wedding to Trevor Engelson, has revealed exactly why she had to cut off the toxic Duchess. Hello, friends. Welcome to the King YouTube channel. When it comes to dumping her allegedly best friends, Meghan Markle has quite the reputation. We know about Jessica Mulroney, David and Victoria Beckham even, as well as her Suits co-stars. The truth is, Meghan is a user, and once she decides that somebody is no longer useful to her, that the friendship no longer benefits her directly, well, that's it. She just dumps them without a second thought. Now, this is a trait that is common in narcissists, which, well, we already know Meghan Markle is a malignant narcissist, so it's not really a surprise that she just uses and abuses people like this. But now we are hearing from one of her former besties about why exactly the two of them had a falling out. In fact, Meghan Markle has become so famous for this habit of tossing people to the side once they're no longer useful that she has made it to the Urban Dictionary. So Urban Dictionary is this online dictionary of slang terms. And if you look up what it means to be markled, you will see that it describes abandoning someone or something after they've contributed to your life in a meaningful way. Most famously, of course, Meghan markled her own father, Thomas, after he'd sold paparazzi photos of himself getting ready for Meghan and Harry's wedding. Now, we know good and well these photos were not taken with any kind of ill intention. This was just Thomas trying to make himself look a little better ahead of the wedding. Well, Meghan pretended to take so much offense to it that she cut him off and will have nothing to do with him since then. And then what about her stylist friend, Jessica Mulroney? I mean, once upon a time, they were BFFs for E. Her children were even included in Harry and Meghan's wedding party. But now we hear nothing about this friendship between Meghan and Jessica. Obviously, Jessica stopped being useful. Now, with Jessica, it had something to do with a post or something that she had made that some people deemed racist. Well, Meghan Markle couldn't be associated with her anymore, so even though that was her best friend, she was quickly tossed to the side, aka markled. And now, thanks to a report in the Daily Mail, we are learning more about Meghan's other BFF who had a falling out with Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle's childhood best friend, Ninaki Pretty, reportedly fell out over the way Meghan treated her first husband, Trevor Engelson. So interestingly enough, this Ninaki Pretty was the maid of honor at Meghan's first wedding back in 2011 in Jamaica. Yeah, that's the one where Meghan reportedly passed out the joints as wedding favors. The two of them actually had known each other for quite some time. They had first met each other at Hollywood's private Little Red Schoolhouse when they were only 2 years old, and they had been friends since then. So this falling out is a big deal. I mean, can you imagine somebody who had been by your side since you were 2 years old and you just dump them unceremoniously? I mean, that's basically what Meghan did. So after they went to this Little Red Schoolhouse when they were little, they moved on together at 11 years old to the Immaculate Heart Girls High School in LA. So their friendship ended up lasting actually over 31 years. But even that 31 years of history clearly was not enough for the two of them to stay friends forever. But now, according to what Ninaki is reporting, it was not Meghan Markle who dumped her. Instead, it was the other way around. According to this article in the Mail Online, the pair decided to go their separate ways after Ninaki disapproved of the manner of Meghan's breakup from Trevor. Okay, so according to reports, Meghan started dating the celebrity chef Corey Vitello, who also lived in Toronto in 2014. That was only a few months after she had separated from Trevor. In 2017, Ninaki Pretty spoke with the Daily Mail, saying, "I tried to get details from her, but she wouldn't tell me. What came to light after Trevor and I spoke ended my friendship with Meghan. I think everybody who knew them both was in shock." According to Ninaki, she had talked to Trevor a month after he and Meghan had gotten divorced in 2013 and insisted, quote, he would have walked the earth to make their marriage work. Well, I mean, he could have done whatever he wanted to make the marriage work. It was never going to work because Meghan didn't want it to work. Meghan had decided that somebody else could offer her more, and so immediately she was done with Trevor. That relationship was only transactional from the start because that's the only kind of relationship Meghan Markle knows how to have. All right, so Meghan, first of all, used Trevor to get that job on Suits. He pulled some strings and got her a gig. So that took her to Toronto, whereas Trevor was still living in LA while they were married. Meghan was up in Toronto filming the US legal drama Suits. And while she was up there, that I guess is when she met this Corey Vitello, and she decided that Corey Vitello had connections that were far more impressive than Trevor's. So that's why she decided that Trevor had to go. And apparently Nanaki did not approve of the way that Meghan so easily tossed Trevor to the side. Nanaki said, "I don't believe she gave him enough of an opportunity. I think there was an element of out of sight, out of mind for Meghan." Well, of course there was. I mean, this is the way that Meghan functions. Deep emotions like love and appreciation for another person, compassion, empathy. These are not emotions that Meghan Markle is capable of feeling. There is something missing about her. And so that's why Meghan is incapable of being loyal to somebody. She doesn't understand why she should stick around once they stop being useful. It's all about her and what she can get out of relationships. Nanaki went on to say, the way she handled it, Trevor definitely had the rug pulled out from under him. He was hurt. Well, of course Trevor was hurt. I mean, can you imagine? The way that she broke up with him also was so disgusting. I mean, putting the rings in an envelope and sending them back through the mail? What a disgusting excuse for a human. Meghan Markle could have at least shown enough respect to him to, have a phone conversation. I mean, even sending a text message would have been better than putting the rings in an envelope and sending them through the mail. Such a lack of respect for somebody who did so much for her. Nanaki also talked about how there was Meghan before fame and Meghan after fame. Apparently, Meghan would turn down lunch with us because she said she'd be recognized after only 2 seasons of Suits. Well, it sounds like Meghan Markle has been delusional for a very long time. I mean, even after all, I don't even remember how many seasons, 5 or 6 seasons of Suits that Meghan was on? But even after the whole show was finished, most people in America still didn't know who she was. I remember when I heard the news that she and Harry were dating, the first thing I said was, "Oh, who is that?" I had to look her up. I had never watched Suits. It wasn't all that popular, to be honest with you. And Meghan Markle, let's remember, was hardly the star of the show. So obviously, she let that fame go to her head, but the fame didn't exactly match reality. Nanaki said, maybe she had started to change before then, but I was refusing to see it. The tone of her voice, her mannerisms, the way she laughed didn't seem real to me anymore. I felt if I questioned her behavior, I'd be left on the outside. Sometimes the truth is not always what you want, is it? We have talked before about how Meghan is quite a chameleon. I mean, Meghan is capable of changing herself to suit whatever new situation she finds herself in, because Meghan doesn't have a real personality. Most of us have our core traits that make up who we are, and these are traits that simply do not change over the course of our lives, but Meghan is not like that. Meghan is much more reptilian in who she is as a person. Whenever Meghan thinks that it's necessary, she just puts on a new mask. Nanaki elaborated, saying her time became increasingly important. When she was in town, she'd want you to drop everything to see her. If I was busy, it would be, "Why don't you want to see me? I'm here. Let's hang out." I mean, selfish, selfish, selfish. This isn't exactly news about Meghan Markle, but it really just goes to show that she is as nasty behind the scenes as she appears to be. And that's the funny thing about her, too, is that as much as she tries to pretend to be somebody she's not, namely a good, kind, loving person, she cannot cover up the fact that she's a disgusting, narcissistic, gold-digger social climber. Nanaki also said there were instances when I felt she developed a sense of entitlement because she was on the show. So she clarified that the two of them started talking to each other less and less. And Nanaki apparently tried to speak to Meghan after she had talked with Trevor about the divorce, but she says that Meghan wouldn't confide in me. She said it was obvious to me she wasn't the friend I'd grown up with anymore. She had a new circle of friends. All I can say now is that I think Meghan was calculated, very calculated in the way she handled people and relationships. She is very strategic in the way she cultivates circles of friends. Once she decides you're not part of her life, she can be very cold. It's this shutdown mechanism she has. There's nothing to negotiate. She's made her decision, and that's it. So I think now the only question that still remains in my mind is when is she finally going to be done with Harry? I mean, has she not bled him dry yet? Is there anything left to get out of him? Anything left to squeeze? I don't see how there could be. He has no relationship with his family. They're running out of money. The only thing left to know is when Meghan is going to finally move on to her next victim and cut Harry out forever. And don't be afraid to click the subscribe button to get more updates in the future. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a lovely weekend, and we'll be back to see you all tomorrow.